Everyone, and welcome to my review looking back at the weekend's Brazilian Grand Prix. What an unbelievable weekend for not just Mercedes in the end, but also for just Formula One in general. I thought we were in for we treated, I should say, to a cracking weekend of action, Formula One. And in the end, on race day on Sunday, a top three of Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, and Valtteri Bottas. Not the first time we've said those three finishing on the podium for the first time this year, but even so, an eventful weekend, which obviously didn't get off to the best of starts. Well, actually, got off to a great start for Mercedes, particularly for Lewis Hamilton, putting the car on pole on uh, on Friday. But then, obviously, we know about the disqualification because of the rear wing, and then he had to then start the sprint race anyway on Saturday at the back of the grid. But an incredible drive from Lewis, from 20th to then finish 5th, was incredible. And then he then obviously then had that 5 place grid drop for Sunday's race, which meant that he had to start the race from 10th. But even then, great battling spirit shown by Lewis. And goes on to win the race. Probably one of his best ever races in Formula One. And Lewis proved at the weekend in Brazil, why he is a 7 times world champion. He never gives up, and he deserved it. He definitely deserved it. We thought it was going to be a weekend that was we thought it'd be another weekend where we'd see Red Bull dominate. Red Bull and Max Verstappen come out on top. Wasn't quite so this weekend. What at the weekend in Brazil. And really for Max, it was about damage. Once Lewis got by him on race day, it really was a case of damage limitation for Max. But even so, when you look at the standings right now, you have to say that Red Bull, Max Verstappen are still in a good position. They're still in the driving seat, and I mentioned it in the preview. Looking at the Brazilian Grand Prix, would I want to be the hunter or would I want to be the hunted? And to be honest, I would rather be the hunted, knowing that you've got that point advantage, and it's all in your hands. Knowing that okay, we might be coming up to tracks which might suit Mercedes, but at the same time, we've seen Red Bull adapt to all types of circuits this year, and they've done well. So, you wouldn't back against Red Bull, winning at least one of the final three races this season. So now all's not lost for Red Bull, and as I say, they're in a good position going into the final three races this year. And just coming back onto Mercedes, fantastic performance from Lewis. He's always whenever Mercedes and whenever Lewis are, I don't know. I don't know whether down in the dumps is the right term, but whenever they got their backs against the wall, they always seem to find a way in terms of bouncing back. And Lewis and Mercedes did it in style, particularly on Sunday, and they let their racing did a talking for them. And yeah, incredible victory, incredible weekend for Lewis Hamilton, showing a lot of resilience, a lot of fight, and Lewis for sure proved that he's not going to give up this title no title without a fight. And I think as a neutral, we'd love to see the drivers' championship, but also the constructors' championship as well to go down to Abu Dhabi. And what an unbelievable situation that would be. If it does, if it does come down to that. So yeah, unbelievable weekend for Lewis Hamilton in the end. And not a bad weekend for Valtteri Bottas either, as we start to think about as he'll start to think about the end of his Mercedes career. So 3 races to go for Valtteri at the Silver Arrows. But he still has a big part to play, and did a good job in qualifying. So wasn't in a bad position then to be able to capitalise at the start of the sprint race, which he won. Didn't quite get off to the best of starts on Sunday on race day, but he was one of those drivers who's able to benefit from when the virtual safety car came out, and then as a result of that, he was then able to leapfrog Sergio Perez and then take that third step on the podium. So not a bad weekend at all for Valtteri Bottas. As for Red Bull, not again, as I mentioned about damage limitation, it wasn't a bad weekend, not a terrible weekend, not a brilliant weekend either. But it was looking so good for Red Bull, wasn't it, on race day? Verstappen getting by Bottas, but also Perez later on in that opening lap as well, so being able to get by Valtteri, and a Red Bull 1-2 in the early stages of the race was on the cards. So the perfect start for Red Bull, but they just didn't have the pace, to keep Bottas, but also to keep Lewis behind as well. So yeah, so no, finishing second and fourth, Red Bull in the race day, not a bad, not a, well, obviously not brilliant, but not the most terrible result for them. But now that they'll be looking to bounce back in Qatar, and yeah, we'll see if Red Bull can hit back, and for Max to be able to um, extend his lead in the Drivers' Championship, and whether Red Bull can cut into that leading the constructors that Mercedes now have over them. So yeah, really intriguing three races to go this in 2021 season. And then we come on to talk about the battle for third in the constructors. At the moment, you would say Ferrari are in a good position to be able to take third in the constructors. Really good drive, really good weekends for Charles Leclerc and also Carlos Sainz as well. Carlos, great performance from a Spaniard particularly in the sprint race. Finishing ahead of Sergio Perez and able to hold him off, even though he was on the soft tire. So yeah, really good performance from Carlos Sainz in the sprint. Just wasn't able to quite maintain or really challenge for a podium spot on race day. But even so, more good solid points for Ferrari. Whereas McLaren only scored the solitary point with Lando Norris. So at this moment in time, you have to say Ferrari are in a hot are in a more what's the term? Are more in a better position. I think they're in a good position to be able to take third place in in the constructors. But beauty with the beauty with sport is that anything can happen, and it just takes one bad weekend for Ferrari and an excellent weekend for McLaren, and then McLaren are right back in the battle for third. So don't count McLaren out just yet. And anything can happen in these final three races. But you have to say Ferrari are in pole position to take third in the constructors. And speaking of close battles, in the constructors, Alpine and AlphaTauri were level on points going into the weekend in Brazil, and they still are level on points in the constructors. The Pierre Gasly finishing seventh in the race on Sunday, just ahead of Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon, and that may well be another battle that goes down to the wire this season. Pierre Gasly putting in another fantastic drive to take on more points for AlphaTauri. And two good drives from Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon as well. But from an AlphaTauri point of view, they need Yuki to be scoring points now between now and the end of the season, these final three races, because Yuki's points could, if he can get in amongst those points, could make a massive difference in terms of whether AlphaTauri finish fifth or not in the constructors. So, whilst Alpine are getting both their drivers scoring points, now AlphaTauri can't keep relying on Pierre Gasly. They need Yuki to really contribute and to be able to score points as well. So I think that's going to be another battle that goes down to the wire in the constructors. And whilst Alfa Romeo didn't score many points this the weekend in Brazil, they generally they were able to outperform, not considerably, but they were able to outperform Williams. So Williams haven't quite been at it these last 2 or 3 um, races, but with when you consider the tracks coming up with the straights, you'd like to think that Williams will be. No, they'd like to think they'd be in contention for scoring points, and that 8th place in constructors might not be sewn up as we all thought it was. Say 2 or 3 races ago, but because Kimi scored those points in Mexico, means that they were able to close the gap a little bit to between themselves and Williams. Still feel Williams are in the best position to be able to finish 8th, but as I mentioned, in a battle between Ferrari and McLaren, it only takes one great result for Alfa Romeo and they'll find themselves 8th in the constructors. So it's still all to play for uh, in that battle for 8th in the constructors. No, looking ahead to Qatar, I think we're going to be in for a really great race. I think we're going to be in for a really barnstorming race in Qatar, and I just can't wait. This Formula One season, just when you thought Red Bull, it's advanced Red Bull, and to some extent it still is. Mercedes strike back in Brazil, so it's been that type of seesaw type of season where you think one team are going to run away with it, and then next thing you know, the other team bounce back. So, these 3 races I think are going to be really, really fascinating. I'm looking forward to it. I really can't wait for Qatar, and I think as unusual, we would love it to get out into the final race of the season, and what a climax that would be to what is already been a phenomenal Formula One season. And I think it'll go down as, in recent years anyway, particularly during this hybrid era, probably one of the best seasons we've seen in Formula One. And then fingers crossed in 2022, with with all the new regulations coming in, perhaps we'll see even more fights and maybe even more teams in contention for the Drivers' Forza Constructors Championships as well. So, yeah, that's the end of my review of the Brazilian Grand Prix. Qatar next, which I'm sure all of us Formula One fans are really looking forward to. And yeah, I will catch up with all you guys and girls when I do a preview for Qatar. Don't forget, if you want to talk things Formula One, I'm on Twitter at Baggies20, and I'm also on Instagram at Manish Patel89. Take care, everyone.